Welcome to Good Areas Live. Jarrod Kimber here on the third innings. We haven't done a third innings in a few days. There was going to be one on, I don't know, one of the other games, but it was such a crap game. I was keeping notes, and even then I was like, I don't know if I have the energy to read these notes out loud. So, as we generally do on this show, or on this channel, or on both my channels, if I don't care, I figure you won't care. So I haven't been doing it. But we do, in this particular case, I have tons of notes on this game, even though it didn't end up being that close. I think it was a really, really fascinating game all the way through. Matthew Hayden thought it was a 200-run pitch. Okay. But for the rest of us who were paying attention, a very, very different kind of game that we saw. And so let's get into it a little bit, he says. And now I can't find his notes. There they are. So, I thought one of the most interesting things about this wicket was just how much movement there was, but not really swing, although there was a lot of swing as well, but seam movement. Chinnaswamy with seam movement, and fine, we've seen it occasionally with a little bit of seam movement at the start of an innings. It's a fairly normal thing to do. What about the seam movement like later on? Like the 8th over of the first innings, the ball moved, I don't know how many degrees, like 1,000,000 degrees. Like it really did go pinging sideways. And the next over, Hayden said it was still a 200-run wicket. I can't remember the last time I've seen really any wickets in the IPL seem as much as this one did for as long in both innings. It was a really interesting wicket. I still think that it flattened out a lot eventually, and so you could catch up. The problem for RCB was they'd already lost their top, over-attacking and everything else. It's worth noting just how much Phil Salt looked uncomfortable with the seaming ball. Like, I think him and Livingston are very limited when the ball is moving laterally at all. Once it's doing what they want it to do, obviously they can do everything. But I wanted to talk about Rashid Krishna because he's the one who was seaming the ball all over the place. Did he even end up taking a wicket? Yeah, he did later on, didn't he? I thought he bowled wonderfully. This is kind of the Rashid Krishna I've been waiting for a long time. Usually I would not want him bowling in the power play. Today they probably brought him on, well, maybe 2 overs too late. I think you could have brought him on even earlier just because that wicket was so suited to his kind of bowling. Hit the pitch, get a little bit to go in either direction, a little bit of inconsistent bounce as well. Some bouncing a little bit higher than they should have, some going a little bit longer. A little bit lower than they should have. Ball nipping around. Well done to him because I think he's playing really, really well. And also, if Siraj and they can account for what do you call it, the power play bowling without him, it really does give them a huge advantage, I think, going ahead. So you've got Rashid Khan, who I didn't think he bowled brilliantly today, but they got a couple of overs out of him, and Ishant Sharma as well. I thought he bowled really poorly today on what was a wicket where he should have absolutely dominated. He got 1 wicket from pitching up, and then he decided that you had to pitch up on this wicket, which you absolutely did not hit. The old Ishant length from the days when he never took a test wicket would have absolutely killed on this. But because of what Siraj did and because of what Rashid Krishna did, they just got a lock on that. And RCB never really came back from that point onwards. But if you can keep using Rashid Krishna just after the power play and in that section, he becomes such a weapon. And obviously that relies on Rashid Khan and Ishant Sharma and then, the overseas players that they end up going with and everything else. But I could see that being a really, really good plan going ahead. So I like that a lot. Now, what else did I have here? Oh, there was a really fascinating thing with Sai Kishore today, which I'm sure a lot of you picked up, but I just want to talk about it. So Sai Kishore went for 22 runs today. Part of it was the situation he came on, although, to be fair, Rashid Khan came on in a similar situation and it didn't work for him. But I really like the way he thought through the Jitesh Sharma one. So he'd already had the drop, and we will get to those in a moment, but he'd already had the drop at that stage. And clearly Jitesh Sharma had lined him up a little bit. And I can't think of too many times when I've seen a left arm finger spinner ball over the wicket to the right-handers. And, traditionally it was seen as a conservative way of bowling, defensive way of bowling, I suppose. But because now players just can clear the front leg and swing to the leg side, Players actually like it when you bowl outside the leg stump now because, as long as their body's in the way of the stumps, they think they can hit a 4 or a 6 pretty easily. But that's not what he did, which is what I expected because that's kind of usually why you go over to get the ball just behind the eye line a little bit. What he actually did was bowl really wide. And part of the problem here was Jitesh Sharma just went too hard too early. He decided almost straight away that ball had to go. And so obviously that was an issue, right? Which is fine. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm not having a go at him at all there. But the ball was just outside of his eye. It's an interesting tactic that I haven't seen all that much of before when a right-hander lines up a left-arm finger spinner. It'd be interesting to see if Sai Kishore uses it a little bit more because players can't be used to that. It's just not a thing that happens all that much for teams at all. So really fascinated about that. Also, really like the fact that Shubman Gill had a short leg in place. This is kind of what you want. I know Shane Bond came out the other day and was talking about how teams need to defend better when they're bowling, but they had a chance of winning that game really, really early. And to be fair to Shubman Gill, he went for it 100%. So I was a big, big fan of that tactic. And, it didn't pay off partly because, as we talked about, I think it was for Rashid Khan. And it's not a day you wanted to field a short leg to Rashid Khan. But we'll get to that in a minute. The other Sai Kishore note I had was this carom ball that he has. And it was funny because it was a carom ball, but you go back and you have a look at it. He's not beaten 100% by the fact that it spins the other way. What he's beaten by is that it kind of stops in the wicket and pops up. Does that mean that when he bowls his carom ball, gets out cricket ball, so most carom balls, when you flick them, you're getting the spin on the side of the ball, right? So you're flicking it from here and it's going that way. Is he flicking his end over end, right? And so it's actually like a weird top spinner. It was a really odd dismissal. And the other thing is that left-handers, well, and you can say this about right-handers as well, he might not bowl as much as the right-handers, but left-handers aren't used to left-arm finger spinners bowling carom balls to them, right? So they've had this, we know that left-handed batters have this huge advantage over left-arm finger spinners and have been dominating them forever and doing really well, unless it's the fourth innings of a test. And then suddenly you see this, and you think to yourself, is this a big turning point? Because left arm finger spinners, I think outside of Rangana Harath, don't really bowl the carom ball all that much. And it makes them a lot more useful. And look, I get it. You're very good at bowling to right-handers, but occasionally you have to bowl to the guy on the other side. All right, Rashid Khan. Look, this might end up being a video. I came up with about 4 ideas for videos today, so I'm sure one of them will come out soon. But Rashid Khan, to me, looks like he's bowling more or less his normal length. Maybe he is slightly shorter than normal, but I'm not sure it's that much shorter. The difference is he's always bowled short, but because of the zip that he gets off the wicket, that you can't really play the pull shots and the cut shots with comfort. Watch him now. That could just be that he's got a little niggle. It might just be that he's not quite bowling as fast as he normally is. I don't think it means he's finished or has been worked out or anything, because it's not just, let's say I'm right and he's bowling 50 centimeters shorter than he normally does. It's not just that. He's also bowling down leg side. He's bowling outside off stump. At his absolute best, Rashid Khan will basically be hitting the top of off or the top of leg. He basically bowls like a wobble ball bowler, right? If it spins, it's going to beat you outside, off stump, or hit the top of off stump. And if it's the wrong end, it's going to be slanted in, hopefully hitting the top of leg stump. Go back and have a look at that. And I will be watching MV play myself to see how he's been bowling this year. But my guess is that is not what is happening at all with Rashid Khan at the moment. And it's really interesting. But then he did something that I think I've seen him do before, but it's certainly not something that he's done a lot of. When he bowled a delivery at one stage that was from what? I want to say a meter back from the crease. So, when you're bowling from a meter back in the crease, actually, it might have been a lot more than that on that. Mine ran about 1.5 meters. And he ended up bowling it short again. I think when you bowl from that position, you really need to be able to bowl full, but that's fine. It's a hard thing to do. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to do it in a game. It's very hard to change your length. You know, someone like Mark Watt has become an absolute genius at it, but there's a reason, and Kyron Pollard did it a lot too, but there's a reason why most bowlers don't do it, is it gets you completely out of your rhythm, and it's hard to actually find the right length when you're stretching the wicket out. But my thought was, if Rashid Khan was feeling that he was bowling well, there's no way he would do that. Like, I could be wrong. It felt to me like he was bowling that ball because nothing else was working. And you look at the bowlers the batters he was bowling to. Let's have a look. Oh my God. 40 centimeters. I said 50. I don't mind him bowling around that period, but he's got to get the zip off the wicket because he has to actually then get the position where you can't pull him and cut him. And look at what happened today. He was pulled quite easily. He was cut by Tim David, who can't even play leg spin, right? Let alone Rashid Khan. When he went out there, I was like, well, this should be about 3 balls, right? It just feels like to me there's a few things off with perhaps his rhythm and everything else. The fascinating thing is how much longer Gujarat can go with him, right? Because there was one game where he didn't bowl out earlier, and we all assumed, probably rightly, that they didn't need him. At the moment, it looks like he needs more overs in him than anyone else. So that's certainly something that we'll need to keep an eye on. Liam Livingstone, just wanted to talk about this one a little bit. I thought it was a fascinating situation. Liam Livingstone was lucky, right? I think he played really well after that, but he was incredibly lucky. Like, RCB probably only had what? That early period, maybe the first 5 overs, maybe all the way through the power play, where they had a realistic chance when they were bowling of winning. And they beat the bat a bunch of times. You know, a couple of balls popped up in the air. They could have easily taken 2 or 3 wickets in that power play and might have still stolen this game, right? My biggest fear was they weren't going to take enough early wickets, and that's essentially what ended up happening. But Livingstone really got them into that position. He got a little bit of luck, but once he finds his range, he is a different batter. He's still not particularly smart. Like, he makes a lot of errors. But he does have that, and I've seen it so many times before, where once he finds his range, it's almost hard for him not to hit boundaries because of the power and everything else he has. So, well done for him, because him and Phil Salt were struggling when that wicket had something in it. Oh, I want to talk about the Tim David situation. So, Tim David, I think it was in the last over, gets a ball, spoons it up on the leg side, calls 2, and Boovie runs past him, and then he says to Boovie, go back, we're not taking a run here. I've seen so many batters do this, and I'm really guilty of this myself, in the moment, we're really good at processing, no, actually, we shouldn't be taking a run here, or no, actually, we've made a mistake here, or whatever it may be. But what we're not really good at doing is saying to the non-striker beforehand, if there isn't a 2 absolutely there, I don't want you to take the run. He's really lucky that Boovie could turn around in time and go back. I've seen so many players who would have just kept on running, and by the time they realised what had happened, it would have been a run out at the bowler's end, right? Because Boovie would have been at the wrong end, he would have been confused, he would have been slowed down. It's something that as batters we need to get a lot better at, which is, and especially in the pros, is saying, okay, so in this situation, we're going to take a 2. In this situation, we're not going to take any runs at all. So I think that's a very, very important thing to go ahead with. I mean, it was well done by Tim David to work out that situation, but if Boovie's already past him, you're potentially putting a run out on the table for no reason. Let's talk about Gujarat, because they've won this game and they've won it comfortably. But my God, this game should have been over in the 14th over of the first innings. The fact that Boovie and Josh could have got a couple of nicks and completely changed this game is horrendous. Like, they should never have been in that position at all. They missed 2 pretty clear runouts. Both times, no one went to the stumps as well. I'm not sure. There was one of them, I'm not sure you would have got to the stumps. The other time, no one even tried to get to the stumps. But Butler dropped that catch. There was the other simple one, was it Tuatia on the boundary as well. There was one that went through Sai's hands. I never saw a good replay of that because something happened and I was doing something else afterwards. So let's say it wasn't, but it was still, you would expect most people to get that. They also went through their reviews with things that I just didn't, it didn't end up biting them because I think the one from Rashid Khan was going over anyway. but they were just sloppy. This should have been 130 all out. They had Ishant Sharma bowled the wrong length. They didn't put their foot down enough with the seamers at that point. They kept bowling Rashid Khan when they could have easily brought back Rashid Khan. You know, you've got two Khans. In this case, this was a wicket that once one of your spinners wasn't doing well, don't you just go back to the big left arm bowler and just hit the wicket for an over and let's see what happens. They made so many mistakes all the way through, and they were so far ahead. And as I said, the plays and misses, the leading edges, the incredible early bowling from Bhuvi and from Hazlewood, if they get 3 wickets here, they could have easily stolen this game. When you get a chance to win a game like this, just win it. It was really, really sloppy all the way through. Anyway, let's go back to RCB and finish off. Well, not finish off with them, but talk about them a little bit more. Or sorry, I should say, let's go to the second innings. So my issue with RCB as a team was, if Bhuvi and Hazlewood don't take wickets, what do they do next? And I think we saw a perfect example of that today. Their other two seamers, I think Yash Dayal got a little bit of inconsistent bounce. I don't think he bowled. What did he end up with? I think he might have gone for runs. No, he was fine. So he went for 20 in his 3 overs. I knew his first 2 overs were good. I couldn't remember his third over. But yeah, they did. The first change did their job. Bhuvi and Hazlewood, I think Bhuvi just couldn't get the nicks. Hazlewood bowled brilliantly early on. Prashid Krishna and Hazlewood were the 2 best bowlers in this game. And between them, they've got 2 wickets. And they were ideally suited to these conditions, right? But the real problem came for them when Rashid Salam came on, right? Not his fault at all. It's not what he's in the side for. The conditions didn't suit his bowling. He's not really a hit the wicket type of bowler, and he went for runs, and that was what released the pressure. And I think it was Butler hit 3 boundaries in a row, and that was game over. Up until that point, I still thought it was a fairly 50-50 game. Bang, 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 game over, right? But the problem is kind of what we've been talking about before. You look at these bowlers, and even these days, Bhuvi is quite a defensive bowler. He doesn't take a lot of early wickets. You look at Yash Dayal, who's 27 now. He's got a bowling average in the IPL of 31. He's never been a consistent above average wicket taker. Josh Hazlewood has been a good bowler, but you can block out Josh Hazlewood, and teams will block out Josh Hazlewood whenever they get a chance. So knowing that you can do that, you can probably say that off the first 4 overs, unless you're like Sunrisers or you got Sun on Orion or something, you can probably just sit and wait for those guys. Krunal Pandya is a defensive bowler. Rashid is a defensive bowler, right? Oh, almost at it, even though he takes wickets, he's probably almost at his best taking wickets when people are trying to smash him out the park. Although having a look at this, he does not take a lot of wickets at all. He takes a lot fewer wickets than I thought he would have. I thought he would have at least got some. So you've got all these different bowlers who are defensive all the way through. And then you've got Livingston, which is, part-time or whatever. This is the nightmare scenario. This game probably went as badly as it could have for RCB. And by that, what I mean is, this is the game when the batters underperformed and the bowlers had to take wickets. So I'm not going to blame the bowlers for this particular game. Also, I just think the opposition had a better seam attack for this kind of wicket than what RCB did. I think especially 2 of the 4 seamers that RCB had just were not suited by this surface at all. Whereas I would say pretty much all 4 of the seamers that Gujarat had were suited by it. Nothing you can do about that, right? That's just a thing that happens. But if this is going to be a wicket where you need to, if this is going to be a pitch, I should say, where you need to take wickets, are you not all the way through? Like, if we keep seeing this as the Chinnaswamy wicket, and it will get flatter, but will we continue to see the same movement that we saw here? If that's the case, is there not a bit of an issue going ahead here? Is there not a problem going ahead of how this team is going to be able to handle something along those sides, right? Like, it does feel to me like it's a bit of a not risky one, but if you went in with a defensive bowling lineup because you're bowling at Chinnaswamy and you thought there were going to be runs galore, and you were the team manager or the coach, whoever who had that, what would you be thinking after tonight's wicket, right? So if I'm looking at my home pitch now and I'm like, well, we've got a wicket where we thought this is going to have a huge advantage for our side. Are you not now looking at that and thinking to yourself, oh, okay, it's maybe not exactly the kind of situation we wanted it to be in? So it's just something to look ahead at. This could be a one-off. The inconsistent bounce made this wicket harder to bat on than the seam movement, right? But Hazelwood aside, a little bit. I'll probably go as far as saying Hazelwood aside, I don't think they have another great seam bowler in this side. Boovie wants it to swing. Yash probably wants it to swing a little bit as well. And then they've got a slow ball bowler, right? Like just a conventional hit the pitch bowler. There's a few other teams with really good lineups who will be able to exploit this, right? And they're not one of them. That's not ideal when it's your home wicket. And it's also not ideal when this has not been how Chinnaswamy wickets have tended to be. So it could be nothing. It could be a one-off thing. They've got those 2 away wins. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I was them. They're in a decent situation. And the only other team that the only other note that I had here was just Butler making runs. I think that's a very, very important development for where they have been so far this season. He's just not looked particularly good. And I think it's fair to say he didn't start particularly well today. I wonder, as he's got older, he's got to a point now where it just takes him a little bit longer to get into his innings. But once he got going, it was obviously very, very good. So hopefully he can continue there. I think you look at this batting lineup, and I think they really need so many runs from their top 3. Right? And so you can't have Butler having an off season if that's going to be the case going ahead. So, yeah. Also, just came to me, it would be very funny if after all these years of the RCB never quite controlling their home pitch, they finally picked the perfect side for their home pitch and their home pitch changed. Yeah. That would be the most RCB thing of all time. But we're not there yet. And I'm not too worried about this. As I said, they still gave themselves a chance to win this game, which I think tells you a lot about this team. All right. Let us have a very quick break. And then when we come back, I've got some super chats and some other chats. There's lots of chats. There's lots of things. This is Good Areas Live and the third innings. Sometimes you just need to take the slips out and bowl defensively. And you also need to be careful with your computer's defense as well. If you need a VPN, go Nord. NordVPN.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months and gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. So put in some dot balls and turn them into maidens via NordVPN.com/Kimber. If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now. All right. Vidva says, hey, Jarrod. Hey, Jarrod, indeed. I have a genuine question. What is your main channel? There's this, and then I guess another, and then we'll talk cricket. Will the real Jarrod please stand up? We'll talk sport, not talk cricket, but okay. Is someone I work for? Cricket 8 is someone I work for. We have 2 channels in the good area. Well, we actually have about 4 channels, but we have 2 main channels in the good area stable. We have the live channel, which is this one, because I'm talking live. Look, I was going to say, if I slap myself on the face, you can tell. I'd show you a newspaper, but no one reads newspapers anymore. This is the live channel, so we do the live stuff here, and also the podcasts all come up here. And then the other channel is the pre-made stuff, and the long-form stuff, and the written stuff, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. But just subscribe to everything. That makes it easier, man. Walking Alive says, Prashid Krishna might have found what works for him in international cricket. Use your height for advantage, mate. Yeah, I don't think that was ever his issue. Walking Alive, I'm pretty sure he's aware he's tall. He's not. It's not. His problem is that he's not a very well-rounded bowler. He's not someone with lots of different skills. It really is. He has to run in and hit the pitch hard. This is just a pitch that really suited him. But also, I think he struggles a little bit with the new ball. I don't think he controls it particularly well. And he's probably not a lockdown death bowler as well. So that's why in a side like this, where they can use him for overs in the middle, I think that's his best role. And then he can give you maybe one in the power play and maybe one at the end. That is a good usage. There are lots of bowlers who just need extra usage, right? Like this idea that not everyone is just like a plug and play bowler. Everyone has a slightly different role in a side. Like you're never going to use Bhuvi in the middle overs the way that you would Prasad Krishna. Like you have to know what the skills are of each one of your bowlers. Also, Walking Live says, great pitch, but why do I always think toss play is such a huge factor in T20 cricket? Getting 170 batting first is so different to chasing 170 on a slightly tricky wicket. Yeah, but that's because the bowlers, if you flip this game around, the bowlers would never have been as suited in the RCB bowlers if they bowled first. It's not like they got the best of the conditions. There was plenty going on in this. The wide that Josh Hazlewood bowls early on, have a look at that again. That seems violently, right? Josh Hazlewood doesn't bowl wide. When he bowled that, I was like, how is the umpire called a wide there? Like, that's only just pitched outside off stump. But it goes across on the angle a little bit, but it's not the angle. It just pings off sideways off the seam. So that's a huge advantage that the rest of the bowlers couldn't take advantage of because they're not the right kind of bowlers for that. So this isn't a game where the toss played a big part. It's a game where one team had 4 seamers who could hit the wicket, and one team had 1.5 bowlers who could hit the wicket, probably. So that's how I saw this. Very, very different than that. But the general point is there, right? Like the toss does play a big part. I'm not sure there's much we can do about that at the moment, but I haven't come up with a great idea anyway. Prashant says, Noah, Santner, Rashid, Chahal, Hasaranga, Kuldeep. Every team has a wicket-taking spinner. I'm not sure RCB has one. I think we'd say they don't. I think we're pretty safe in saying they don't have one there. So, yeah, it's a huge problem. It was flagged before the season. It's one of the reasons why, even when they were doing well, there was a part of me that was like, I still think there's an issue there. They're still 2-1, and I didn't think I thought they fought back twice today and put themselves in decent positions. Ali Said says, was this not the home wicket for RCB? No home field advantage. Well, Ali, I don't know how much cricket you followed, but if you go back in the ye olde days, Australia used to play the West Indies at the Wacker. It's their home wicket. They grew up on it. I don't think it was a big advantage to Australia to play them there, right? You can play an opposition team who suits your conditions better. And I think today, as I said, the wicket was not in the favour of RCB's type of bowlers. You wanted to just, even Sai Kishore was talking about just digging the ball into the surface on that kind of thing. And you think about Krunal Pandya, what does he do? He slides the ball, right? So the finger spinner wasn't even suited to this surface. Josh Hazlewood bowled fine early on, or brilliantly early on, and he was the bowler that it helped the most in that lineup. Prashid Krishna bowled very similar kind of bowler, tall, hit the wicket, get some assistance that way. Mohammad Siraj likes to get assistance off the wicket if there's anything happening there. So they had multiple options to be able to do that with, and the other team didn't. It doesn't really matter if it's home or away, right? Like the wicket's not in your favour. It's not in your favour. Sandcup says, do you think the teams are having less say with the home pitches this season? Fleming, Zach, and now you saying RCB surprised with the pitch. I didn't hear what Zach said. I know it was mentioned. My thinking was that there was something not quite right about this wicket. And the reason I was thinking that, Sandcup, is because of the inconsistent bounce. That to me felt like it's not so much that RCB didn't get what they wanted. It just wasn't a wicket that quite came out the way that it should have. Fleming is certainly, I think last year even, Fleming and Dhoni were mentioning the wickets. If I could be wrong, I'm not an expert on this, but my memory serves me that Chinnaswamy and RCB have a interesting relationship. And I think there's a few times they've wanted a special kind of pitch and they haven't actually got it before. So I definitely think there is an element there to that, but I'm not sure if that's what happened today. Right? I'm not sure if today it just wasn't as simple as that wicket was just a little bit up and down. Hawkeye says, who's Hawkeye got there? Is that Patrick Ewing? Hawkeye says, Kim Appa was a great, Kim Appa Pod was a great listen. Looking forward to more. Yeah, we've already booked in the next one. I think it will be live Sunday noonish, IST, so early morning in the UK, late at night in Australia and everywhere else. Come watch. It'll be on both of our channels. We're really excited about the first episode. I think the thing for us was we don't know each other particularly well. We've probably had like 3 chats in our life, but it's very comfortable. Do you know what I mean? You can kind of tell that, and that was my guess with that we would have, but you never really know until you're on microphone. So yeah, it worked absolutely perfectly for us. Like just to explain this, me and Bumble now, like as someone was mentioned before, TalkSport Cricket Channel, me and Bumble now have a really good rapport. But I remember when I first worked with Bumble, I really struggled with him because I couldn't quite get the pace and the pattern and what he was looking for. And over time, he understands me and I understand him, and it works perfectly. Whereas Steve Harmison, I'd never met Steve Harmison before. I think the first time Steve Harmison and I met was on air. He came on. I got a message from my mate going, I didn't know you were friends with Steve Harmison. So sometimes it's like, it just is very natural, and sometimes you have to work at it. So very different situations, but please support the podcast, subscribe to his channels, do all the things. We're all in. We both really like this, and we hope we can do it for ages. Shubham says, I lost my cat today. Please pray for him. Well, I'm an atheist, so I'm not sure how praying for your cat is going to help you. But we lost a cat. We had King Ghidorah a while back, and we obviously have 2 more cats now, Mothra and Rodan. But yeah, I know what it's like, and I'm really sorry. And my thoughts are with you. Soam says, was the podcast with Robin just a one-time thing? I think I've already answered that, but no. We're going for weekly. His schedule's a bit crazy at the moment, and my schedule has been crazy of recent times. But if you're covering the IPL like he is, you're flying or you're commentating. I think he does a bit of in-studio stuff as well, but clearly he's on the move quite a lot. So that's fine. We just have to work that out. But I think we've committed to trying to do one a week. I know they're going to be on Sunday and then on Sunday. I probably won't always be on Sundays, but we'll try and make sure that we have one a week. And then when the IPL's not on, we can work on some stuff. Also, Robbie's going to be in the UK this year. So he's doing some veterans cricket. So we'll probably record a bunch of stuff when he's over here as well. And who knows, he might get some work with the India-England series and all sorts of things. So yeah, certainly a lot more. Any vlogs or BTS kind of stuff in the future? No need for family vlogs. Find it so weird. More like good areas, vlogs, and BTS. So what do you mean by a vlog? Like, I know what you mean, but do you mean like doing stuff? I'm not really sure how that works. What do we have planned in the future? Obviously, we now have the podcast with Robbie, so we'll be doing one a week with those. And then if that starts to do really well, we might up that to a couple a week. What else do we have? We've got some really cool long form stuff planned for like series planned. I haven't been doing a lot of interviews with people recently, but I've got like hundreds of interviews of people coming up. We've got another series. Hopefully we might get Andy Zaltzman involved, who I'll also see all the way through the summer. Freaky Cricket will come back. We've actually got another show that I've been working on, which we'll record in the new studio, which is my other son, Zachariah, wants to do his own type of thing. So we will do something there. So that's going to be a stuff about kids, really. So we'll have Freaky Cricket. We'll have whatever the Zachariah one is called. We're looking at other languages. We've got the Robbie stuff. We've got some series. But there is a bigger business thing that we have at the moment, which is basically taking our network and taking it from 2 podcasts or 1 podcast, however you want to look at, to potentially 12 to 15 podcasts, and making it a worldwide thing, making sure that we have experts on every topic every time that we're on for something and all that sort of thing. So those are the things that we're looking at doing. Sorry, he did. I think I got rid of the other message. behind the scenes. Walking Life says day in your life, maybe. I just don't find those things interesting. If you go through my entire career walking life, you'll find that there isn't a lot of that kind of stuff. For me, I like to create stuff. I like to talk about things specifically. We do have some other things that we might bring about. There's certainly one thing I want to do in Good Areas in the future is it won't always just be cricket. It's obviously going to be leaning on cricket, but we would like to do some other projects as well. And bring about them. There's certainly something from that point of view. But yeah, at the moment, we've got so many different projects that we're working on. Is there a super chat we missed? Because someone's going, take my question, but I think we did all the super chats, didn't we? I don't think there's anyone missed there. So I think, I think there's a lot that we're making. And there's a lot more things that we want to do into the future. There's also, potentials for documentaries and other projects going ahead. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but I'm not really a vloggy type of thing. I mean, I was when I was younger, but it's not really my thing. And a day in the life, Cricket District does those sorts of things. I suppose Alex Hartley does all those sorts of things. I think they do. Yeah, Sangalt makes a good point here. It's just not how I work. So it's not something that I'm going to be doing all that much into the future. But there's plenty of other things that we are looking at doing. Anyway, that's it for this third innings. But me and Bayram are going to be back in 8 minutes time because we're going to be doing the next project, which is a podcast on the Saudi thing and the takeover and all sorts of whatever's going on with all that stuff. So stick around. I'll be back in a minute. As an international cricket journalist for 10 years, I tell you what, I have got a collection of international SIM cards that I will never truly understand. Now I find there is a company called Selly who gives you an eSIM and it makes it all so much easier. So if you're planning on making any trips, download your Selly eSIM app and you can also get a 15% discount if you say Good Areas, all one word, at checkout. Travel like a pro with your Selly eSIM today.